Surely. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to another episode of the Men of Zen, an anime research podcast. My name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
I suppose I'm Aiden.
Originally, you suppose. I thought you were going to say you were Batman. Yeah. But then that would give away your secret identity way too early. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us again. Today we are talking about Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma, or Soma of the Shokugeki. Shokugeki translating to Food War, which was pretty interesting. A Japanese cooking, comedy, slice of life, and ecchi animated series. Ooh, I like that ecchi word. You don't know what that means. Maybe you do. I know what that means. No, it's not quite that bad.
It's not the Forbidden Age anime.
Written by Yuto Tsukuda and illustrated by Shun Saiki. Now, I gotta say, I saw this show, maybe it's been like a year and a half ago or so, but once I started watching it just on a whim, I remember Phil was telling me about it, and I was bored. It just happened to be there on Netflix. I binged all of it, and I was craving more, and I was like, there's only 2 seasons? Turns out, Crunchyroll has more. If you didn't know, I had to find that out on my own. Man, I love this show. It's a really simple slice of life where it's not anything crazy or zany. It's just about cooking, but it's like cooking as if they were superpowers in some form or other, and I love that. Phil, what was your experience? What did you think of this show?
Oh man, so first and foremost, if everyone's ever heard of the term foodgasm, this show shows what a foodgasm is.
Ooh, yeah.
If food's so good, you just lose your clothes. But no, like I really enjoyed this anime. It was, yeah, like you said, it's very much a not too crazy basic slice of life anime, but it's so funny. The drama's there. It feels like I'm watching like MasterChef, but in anime form almost.
Right.
It's I feel like there's something there for everybody. What do you think, Aiden?
Well, first, before I go into anime, I have something to give you guys real quick.
What?
Ooh,
So-
gifts?
Have these 2 for you guys.
What are these? Sensu
Yeah,
beans.
yeah.
Sensu beans.
Nice.
Exactly. So I give these guys 2 like little burlap sacks of Zenzu beans.
Oh,
outside
that's
the store.
cute. Thanks, buddy. Hell yeah.
You guys can call me Bean Daddy from now
Bean
on.
Daddy. Yeah,
But, yeah.
I have some other things I could say that would be a little more.
Are we about to fight someone right now?
Yeah, they're about to give you power up from, I think they're lime flavored from. But
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. But back to the show. Yeah. So I first, saw it and I was like, cooking anime. I was like, it seems kind of boring. But then, I kept seeing people talk about it, and then it kind of piqued my interest. I watched it, and it's basically like anime, like food, like a cook-off show with anime, which
Right.
they have their own abilities, and I thought it was really cool how it's basically like Dragon Ball Z when they do their little battles with the food thing.
They have like power-ups and
Right.
stuff in the middle of their thing. They'll be like, wait, but add this to the dish on
Exactly.
top, and it's a whole new flavor. Oh,
Nani?
this dish. What is this depth of flavor? And then his clothes just disappear, and there's steam emanating from all of the dish around, and they're like, it's emanating the room. Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
The characters are so like lively and they're so personable, and it's just, the reactions to the food are. It makes you want to try that food. Speaking of
Absolutely.
trying that food,
Yeah.
if you don't know, the same day as this releases on all streaming services, we actually uploaded a video to our YouTube channel, the Men of Zen on YouTube, about us trying to recreate dishes from Food Wars. Turned out great. We had a lot of fun with it. Definitely go check that out after this.
And if you're in a special place where that certain green stuff might be legal, it is going to be released on 4/20, the perfect day for a food war. Go get your munchies on, dog, and go watch that YouTube video. I still haven't seen it. He hasn't shown me, but it was a blast. You'll have to definitely check that out. Anyway, go ahead. I'd say, Phil, go ahead and give us some more information on what exactly is Food Wars, this amazing, ecchi slice of life.
Oh, all right. Well, basically, a bit of a series overview. In a small shopping district in Japan lies a small special of the day restaurant called Restaurant Yukihira. It is here we meet Soma Yukihira, the young son of the restaurant's owner, Joichiro Yukihira, who trained him in his own original cooking style, the Yukihira style. Soma strives to surpass his father one day in cooking. However, by the beginning of the story, he has lost to him 489 times.
I thought it was 500.
No, almost though. Almost. So close. Just before Soma starts his high school years, Juichiro decides to surprisingly shut down the restaurant.
Oh, that's honestly that's my favorite episode, to be honest.
And I think it's like right at the
It's
beginning.
episode 1.
Episode 1 or 2,
It's
yeah.
literally episode 1.
Basically, he doesn't tell Soma, so Soma arrives to a closed restaurant after defending the restaurant's honor earlier in the episode. He calls his dad, and his dad's like, hey, yeah, by the way, I'm in Europe right now. I'm going to be traveling and working in America. Well, sorry, Europe. Not America, that's later. Europe for the next 3 years. And so he tells Soma that he should go attend the Totsuki Culinary Academy while he's away, because it's basically the top school in the country for culinary arts. And he also tells Soma that the school has a less than 1% graduation rate.
Yep.
But if he wants to be the best of the best and surpass his father, he has to make it up the ranks of the academy and possibly serve on the top 10 best cooks of the entire school. And that is his goal. The plot heavily revolves around Soma's journey through Totsuki, as he is constantly challenged by his classmates with their notoriety of their own, and each more challenging than the last. Not one to back down from a challenge, Soma's cooking is pushing to its limits as he constantly improves and innovates his techniques. While Soma is mainly in the spotlight, several other characters receive development of their own. Most notably, Megumi Tadokoro, Soma's main partner throughout the series, who has received the most amount of developmental attention aside from Soma himself. There's a lot of really fun characters and kind of Soma's gang in his dorm room that he lives with, and all of them excel in one particular part of cooking, and it's pretty awesome. But Aiden, what do you think?
What?
So much information there.
No, I really like the series. I do like the dormitory he's put in, and overall, I just thought it was a good experience too. I do like the anime references they do. There's a lot of anime references they do in there that kind of fights with other animes. Like, you see Dragon Ball Z references, JoJo references all the time.
I love those Easter eggs.
Yeah, but no, I don't like his dormitory though. I don't like that.
Really?
No, not really. I'm a fan of Alice and Rio and their little gang, so I like that.
Alice Nakuri.
Right.
Yeah, she's one of the best.
Cool. I like her way of cooking too. I like the way she involves like science with it. It's kind of like a can't think of the like bio engineering with the food there. It's really cool. The old lady too kind of creeps me out. The dormitory lead. After I saw her.
Oh yeah, she's funny.
Why do you hate everything that's sweet?
I don't. After I saw her foodgasm, it kind of ruined it for me. It's like, oh yeah,
Hilarious.
I think I blocked that out of my mind, and you just brought it back. Thanks.
I did. I'm sorry.
The episode, she requests a dish to make her feel young again, something that's nice and light early in the morning, and they pick Joichiro's really thick, like hearty stew in the morning. Or no, it was ramen. It wasn't stew. It was a thick, hearty ramen that he makes, and they're like, ramen in the morning? And he's like, but you gotta try it. And they're like, oh, this thick, it seems like it'd be so thick, but it's not. It's light and hearty and has such a depth of flavor.
These noodles go on forever.
Oh my goodness, that one was so funny. I really
love Joichiro.
Right.
I love that type of character, like in any type of anime where like they're a bit older, but they still have that young guy like mentality. They're kind of a goofball, but like they're incredibly powerful and badass, but they don't like to show it. But in this case, he's just one of the world's greatest cooks.
No, what's really interesting that you mentioned that is that I was trying to do some thinking about this. I'm like, there's something that didn't quite add up. There's the girl at the academy, the spice lady who mentors Akira.
Yep.
She mentions in an episode, she's like, she says either 26 or 23. but she went to school the same time as Joichiro. Now, this must be an academy where you can enter at any age. Doesn't necessarily...
I'm assuming so.
I think so.
Yeah, because like with Japan, I know their high school is more like college essentially with what it is.
Right. I
And
was
it's like a
trying to think about that.
private-
I'm like, if her and Joichiro are about the same age, Soma is supposed to be 15. Does that mean his dad had Soma when he was like 14?
I mean, it is a possibility, but I'm assuming his dad's probably like in his early 30s. He looks like he would be a little older than her. So
that's what I was thinking. But yeah, like Akira references to his like mentor as like being, or not Akira, but Soma was like, "Wow, you're old" or something, and she like flips out about how old.
Right.
Oh, man, it was really funny. Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma, written by Yuto Tsukuda and illustrated by Shun Saiki, was a one-shot first published in Shueisha's Jump Next in April 2012. The manga began its serialization in Weekly Shonen Jump on November 26th of 2012. The series finished in the magazine on June 17th, 2019, and a 3-chapter sequel titled Shokugeki no Soma Le Dessert was published in Jump Giga from June 27th to August 29th, 2019. There was like an interesting like little bit about this Food Wars series where there was a one-shot that featured like an entirely different character. Like the characters went through some massive overhauls in terms of their design, and I found some of those images online that were really interesting. The first Tankobon volume was published on April 4th, 2013. The 36th and last volume was published on October 4th, 2019. Viz Media licensed the manga for North America and published the first volume on August 5th, 2014, and the last on June 2nd, 2020. Shueisha began to simul-publish the series in English on the website and app Manga Plus in January 2019. This did lead to a spin-off series titled Shokugeki no Soma l'Etoile, ran on Shonen Jump Plus, and that was on February 2015 to June 21st, 2019. The individual chapters have been compiled into 8 Tankobon volumes. There is also a crossover story called Shokugeki no Sanji, which was developed as a tribute to One Piece and has been published in Weekly Shonen Jump since July 23rd, 2018. All of that info is from Wikipedia. There is some other information from another website. Aiden, what do you have about this show? Like, I know you have talked about what your experiences are. You're not ready for me?
I couldn't find too much, honestly. Like, I tried to research some of the creators here. I couldn't find any much information out there.
Yeah, they're really little known. What did you find much of anything on Shun Saiki, the illustrator?
So the only thing I found about him was that he did do some other illustrating prior to this for some H anime, right?
Oh yeah, a lot. There's a lot out there actually. He has a couple of nicknames that he goes by. Hika Kuteki Tosh or Hika Kuteki Simple No Panty.
Explains this, like the artwork in the series, right? If you guys ever seen it, you guys,
Yes.
The other ones I found were like Menku and like Harem Time, the only ones he's done, and he also has a pet ferret, which I thought was cool.
Oh, he has a pet ferret?
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't hear anything about that. Do you have a list where you found that at by any chance?
It's just on like my anime list. If you just go on my anime list, you can look up like creators and whatnot too. So
I think I found most of my stuff from Anime News Network. Oh, interesting. Okay. But yeah, there are 3 main people that worked on this, obviously. Shun Saiki being the illustrator, and Yuto Tsukuda, which was the author of the story. Now, what's interesting is that Shun Saiki came up with this idea for the show. He basically flat out is like, I'm not a good storyteller, but I can draw. And he just had this really interesting idea of like...
Yeah, he can.
Oh, yeah, he can draw. Some it's out there. If you know some particular websites that I shall not say here on this podcast, but they exist, and that work is out there if you want to see things with your eyes that cannot be unseen. So what is ecchi, you may ask, which is the closest that we get to this show without being a full-blown H anime or hentai. Dare I say the word?
He said the H word.
Ooh, forbidden words. Ecchi is an anime that has some sexual themes, but no real nudity. There's always like something in the way, like a pot or a plant. Or in this show, because it's really funnily characterized. Like whenever somebody makes a dish that is so good or exploding with flavor, the depth of flavor. I love that. They say that so much. I love it. Like their clothes come off, but they're always like dancing or something around like literally in the dish, or the food from the dish is like covering parts of their body so you can't see full blown everything, and that's men and women alike, old and young alike.
Oh yeah, sometimes it gets a little weird.
I thought that was hilarious. Oh yeah, especially in the peanut butter squid.
Oh god.
Being violent.
So weird. Oddly enough, that as much as Soma wants to be like the greatest chef in the world, he also has this really bad habit of trying to create the worst dish in the world too.
Yeah. Well, it's like a competition between him and his dad Joichiro, where they're like constantly trying to outdo each other because they know that they're the best. But what's interesting is that they do get some training through trying to be the worst. They try to come up with the worst possible combinations of anything out there, and one of the ones that Soma comes up with in episode 1 is peanut butter squid, or grilled peanut butter squid, which honestly I don't know how bad that would taste. I like peanut butter and I like squid.
I want to try it.
I mean, it's not umami. What is? I don't remember what the word for squid is. I've had it with different. Or no, wait, it's eel. I've had eel on sushi. I've never had
eel.
squid.
No, I've tried eel before.
I've had octopus.
I love it. I love eel. Like eel sauce. Oh, I bet octopus is pretty good too. I really do like that. We'll have to go to.
Can we do that?
We'll have to go to Sushi House and try some different sushis. That's, we live out in the Midwest, y'all. That's all we got. We don't have much out here.
We could totally go to the Asian market and just be like, I need squid.
Oh, that's one way to get food poisoning for sure.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I don't know how to cook any of this. We would be like, sorry guys, we're gonna have to miss the next episode of the podcast. There's no way. But yeah, we'll go out for sushi sometime. But yeah, the author Yuto Tsukuda, born on March 3rd, 1986 in Fukuoka, Japan. Fukuoka, the capital of Fukuoka Prefecture, sits on the northern shore of Japan's Kyushu Island. It's known for ancient temples, beaches, modern shopping malls, including Canal City. Maizuru Park contains ruins of the 17th century Fukuoka castle. I'm pretty sure you guys have actually probably seen that before in some pictures on Facebook or something. Mm-hmm. It's pretty famous. A quote from him, I lived in a small town in Fukuoka Prefecture as a child until I was in high school, which is actually before I even finish his quote. It's really interesting that I really like the way that, just Japan's ecology, where it's such a small country and yet a lot of people barely branch out from their small town. Like Tokyo really isn't necessarily that far, but most people don't necessarily always venture to those big cities. They stay within the small town, and a lot of it has to do with family-run business and obligations and things that they have in that town that they're born into. I mean, I'm sure people do travel. Obviously, I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth or say how people live in a certain place, but that's always been what I've seemed to have experienced throughout anything that I've read about like Japanese culture. But anyway, back to that quote. And I'll go ahead and just restart that. I lived in a small town in Fukuoka Prefecture as a child until I was in high school. When I went to university in Osaka, it was my first time living in a big city, so there were many types of different food to experience, and the variety came to me as a shock. It allowed me to realize that my mom's home cooking was truly unique, as a meal only she could create that was enjoyed exclusively in my own home. It helped me realize a difference in my palate and the tastes and flavors that I could enjoy. Now, I couldn't find which university he attended because there's over 25 universities located in Osaka. There were no details about which specific one. Do you have any information on Yuto, Aiden?
I do not know, unfortunately.
You didn't really get it?
No.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot out there. That's quite literally almost all I got.
The man's a mystery.
Yeah, well, I did find that he worked on 2 other minor sports manga series, which I'm absolutely going to try to find. I love me some sports, anime, and manga. He worked on Shonen Shiku, which was about soccer, and Ao no Reto, which was about ski jumping, which I think those could be great.
I'd say that sounds kind of cool.
Right? Like, Food Wars is another one of those shows where it's about a topic that is so strange that I'd be like, how is that possibly a good show? And then you have to watch it. But as soon as you watch it, it's so entertaining. I mean, I had seen this series before, and all last week at work, I just set my phone down on the desk and I just listened to it. It's even a really good one that you don't necessarily need a visual, just because you're constantly being informed of what's happening. You get the really interesting dialogue and the fun. It's so full of flavor. Like, I'm gonna keep bringing that back up because it comes up again and again in the show, and I love it every time.
So the first season is just so many foodgasms.
Yeah, and it's a lot longer than I remember too. It takes quite a while because that season he starts Totsuki Academy, and that goes all the way up until like they have like what it's like not like
the grand battle.
Yeah,
I think it was like the autumn tournament. I think is when they started.
Yeah, there's like a whole other like thing that starts happening, and that either starts off with like him fighting. Is it Akira at the end of season 1?
I think Akira's at the end of season 2.
Yeah, I think at the end of season 2 is when.
No, because I haven't even finished season 2. I barely got into it.
Rio's in the tournament, and I don't think he actually shows until at the end of either season 1 or 2. It's the end of those 2 seasons is when he shows up.
Because what I think happens, or no wait, well no, because so there was the fight with Alice Nakari, or the food battle with Alice Nakari, which actually is probably one of my favorite ones.
I was gonna say, the way she cooks is awesome. Like, I think it's really cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, I really need to try to look up what that style of cooking was. But yeah, she uses like chemistry and biology to give foods different textures or like substances that they shouldn't have. Like puts flavors into weird bubbles or weird blends of stuff. But then so the challenge was a bento box, and Soma creates like a hot bento box, which was like reinventing the bento box according to Alice's dad, who was on like the council that is judging the food, and he was like, it's so good, you've forgotten what it is like to have the heart and soul of making food. Oh, I thought that was hilarious. It's so good.
Which characters are you guys' favorites then, since we're talking about characters?
So like I said earlier, I think Joichiro in his own way is like one of my favorites, even though he's not in the show a lot. I just love that character archetype. You know, you'll get characters like Kisuke Urahara in Bleach, Minato from Naruto.
Phil likes dads.
First of all, Urahara's not a dad. But I love those characters that are like, oh god, we'll look into that if we do Bleach. But I just love those characters that like act goofy and no one can take seriously, but yet when they get serious, they get serious, and they like are incredibly talented.
I love the guy that has to always cook naked. I thought he was funny.
Yeah, the apron.
He's hilarious. Everyone's like, why is he walking around naked?
Oh,
like, does
yeah,
nobody
I
else
love that
like care about this? But that's just like his thing. He only gets serious like when he's good at cooking. He has to take all of his clothes off and just wear an apron.
And he's like at the start of the series, he's like number 7 on the top 10. Yeah, like so he's like very talented, and he's one of the first people that Soma actually cooks against when he gets into the dorm to be like, hey, I want to see how I compare, and he still doesn't compare to the number 7. So even though like he's incredibly talented, he still has a long way to go to compete in this academy. And I actually got a little bit of information about Soma's name, kind of some fun facts.
Ooh, yeah.
So Soma, using the kanji for creation, so, and true, ma, could mean true creation, a reflection of his boundless creativity.
Wow.
When you think back on how he cooks and his philosophy with that. His last name, Yukihira, uses the kanji for blessing, which is yuki, and common or ordinary, hira, could roughly translate as blessing of the ordinary, a reflection of his humble origins compared to his classmates who have trained all over the world in these fancy restaurants. But he comes from a small town in Japan, learned from one of the greatest cooks in the world. But it's a really cool concept with his name.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, I just wasn't it his hair a different color originally too, or something?
Originally, his one shot was short black hair.
They went through some major character designs in that, or character reworks in that one shot. I remember seeing that somewhere. Tsukuda did say that coming up with a cooking manga really wasn't like super hard because of how like simple the idea is. Like we've all probably seen or heard of Master Chef, or my personal favorite, Iron Chef. Have you watched Iron Chef? I mean, that is legit Food Wars in the flesh. It's so good. It's so dramatic, and they have the really dramatic music. Oh, it's amazing.
Going back to some favorite characters, I totally forgot. I gotta call out my favorite girl, Meat.
Ooh, Meat.
She is absolutely and I think he's one of those characters that if you look at it, like see her immediately, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be one of those type of shows. But she actually has a lot of character development, and her whole thing of I want to be the greatest, like meat sculptor or meat chef, and I don't know why she dresses the way she does, but I think she's one of my favorite characters in the show. And whew,
she is portrayed as your typical American kind of
I was
person
gonna
too.
say, is she from America? Because I know she wears or has an American scarf. Or
I think she's
handkerchief.
I think they're trying to portray her as more like the way that she does, more like Western kind of thing.
Oh, the tanned skin, blonde hair, very revealing clothing.
Right, because this is a really cultural show where it does encompass a lot of French cuisine, Japanese cuisine, American style stuff. So they have a lot of chefs that represent each of those cultures, which really is great.
Like the Aldini twins are essentially the embodiment of Italian.
Right.
Akira is more of
does Indian food,
Indian food,
spices
curry, stuff like that. Spices and all that. They go through a big arc in spices.
I made curry just before coming here today. Actually,
really?
Yeah.
You didn't bring us any?
No, sorry. It was a pretty small batch. It was yellow coconut curry. It was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Man.
Yeah. No, they're pretty rad. I think probably one of my favorite characters. Honestly, I feel like it's a little necessarily cliche, but I'm kind of torn between the two that are pretty. Actually, maybe three. But I think I know what one of yours is, Aiden, for sure. So I'm not going to mention her, but I do actually really like Erina Nakari, just for
God tongue.
Yeah, right. The God tongue. She has the ability to taste everything in the dish, and she's one of the harshest critics. But I really like that she's she wants to be really tough and maintain her seat at the top, but sometimes internally she has to recognize the abilities that other people do have, and it kind of does let her know that she recognizes that maybe she's not the best just because of her cooking ability or her ability to taste everything, and she's really picky. But I do kind of like her character. Megumi Tadokoro has some of the best character development, like you said earlier, Phil. I really liked Megumi. She's really quiet, really reserved, but she really breaks out of her shell through cooking, and Soma is one of the people that actually helps her do that throughout the series over and over again, with the battle with one of the professors that's at Totsuki Academy. That professor, they have to do combat to do they started with a 7-layer tetrine, which is just different kinds of dishes compressed into a single, almost like patty. And he originally was going to fail Megumi from the course for not following his recette, or their recipe.
Right.
That's what they call that, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I did look up a little bit of Erina Nakari.
Yeah.
Just because I want to make sure we're posting the most up-to-date information on this. So at the time of her introduction, she is actually the 10th seat on the 10.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But she is absolutely the harshest food critic around.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Can she taste any ingredient?
Yes. Yeah. And she is essentially restaurants will make or break if they don't get her approval, and she's also the headmaster granddaughter. And I think that's where she gets the huge chip on her shoulder. But even being number 10, she's still very talented in her own right.
And Alice Nakari, I know you're probably gonna you got.
She's actually not one of my favorites.
Really? Oh,
I got other people I'll go over.
Yeah, but obviously with the last name they are related.
They are. I think they're cousins.
It's cousins, yes. And she's constantly trying to dethrone Erina the whole time, which I think is great. Trying to tell her that she's not all that great and you're not all that. But I really like that Alice does become more humble throughout the show, and she becomes a much more likable character, and I think she's another one that I really like. Aiden, some of yours.
So you guys know I like Rio. Rio's really cool. I like his overall design. He's just your typical character with black hair. He has huge dark circles, and he's really kind of chill, kind of
I can
very
relate.
energetic. But then he has a headband he puts on, and then when he puts it on, he completely changes. He just goes super fucking crazy and just
berserk.
gets super. Yeah, he just goes into his super intense cook mode. He gets everything he does, even his cooking is, he always does it like super intense. That's like his style is just kind of overwhelming you with like flavor. That's like the way he cooks.
His backstory is really fun.
Yeah, so his backstory is cool too. I like how his relationship with Alice. That relationship's really cool. He's kind of like her. They're kind of dating, but they're kind of not. He's more like a servant to her, kind of in their relationship. But he kind of puts up to her, and he seems like he doesn't mind.
Are you telling me
Yeah.
this man is a simp?
I wouldn't say he's a
man's
simp.
simping?
I wouldn't say he's a simp. He's more like her bodyguard kind of thing. But I don't know.
She's his waifu.
You're right. It's kind of like the Vegeta Bulma thing, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't say
Okay.
simping, but I mean, I still wouldn't. Yeah. My other favorite character is actually, I believe pronounce her last name's like Sadatsukusi. Now, she's like the witch chick that she cooks in the cauldron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
her
makes that. What was it the black? It
Black
has
curry,
squid.
black something?
It
Yeah.
has squid ink in it, and everyone's like, "Oh, this smells rancid." But at, like
But it
the
tastes
like she presents
Right.
it to like the most difficult judges to please over in I think it was like Auditorium A or something that they called it.
in the tournament.
And yeah, she presents it, and like the hardest food critic who never scored, she didn't give a single point to anybody until she tasted like one of the most rancid
Right.
dishes out there, and she's like, I can't stop eating it though. Oh man, it was another one of those foodgasm parts where she's like, ooh. And
Yeah, I just really like her overall design is more her design. 'Cause there's not too much on her like in the show, but like her design is really cool. I like her. She's kind of like a tsundere masochist kind of type. She has a real kind of like obsession with Erina too, kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I thought that was
yeah.
kind of cool. Just her over designing her personality.
Yo,
so,
yeah. There's another girl too that's like really possessive of Erina, and they're like the two of them are like duking
Right.
it out through the
Oh, yeah.
series. That one's great. Anyway, yeah. Do we have anything else regarding? I mean, I don't know. There's so many good characters in
Right.
this
And
show.
that's the thing is like every character has their own style of cooking that like makes them stand out. And while we were talking, it just started like jogging my memory. There's even a chef who he really doesn't have his own style. He uses a psychological warfare where if he finds out like he's like incredibly great at stealth, and he finds out what this person is planning to cook for a big event, he will take that recipe and do the exact same thing, but he'll add one additional thing to it just to beat the other person.
Yeah.
He's a
And,
douche.
yeah, like, oh, he's a terrible character. Like, his whole thing is just, if you can do it, I can do it better.
Right.
Yep.
And because basically every person has like a night to prepare a dish that they're going to make for the tournament, so he finds out through some means. It's crazy.
Right.
how-
He'll like
how-
stalk you and spy.
Yeah, he'll stalk you in these craziest ways and creepiest ways. But yeah, he'll copy your dish, add one extra thing to it, and he's gone up the charts because of that.
If I remember right, Phil, doesn't he blackmail people too? He'll take something like they use for cooking, like a tool or something. Or...
Oh, yep. He also basically makes them kind of wager
Right.
an item, something that like is very important to them. Like when he battled Aldini, he required him to, I guess, wager his special like cutting tool, his Italian cutting tool. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like
It's like a two-handed, like curved, like a huge.
like a
chopping
huge
knife.
curved chop knife, and he required him to
Like a
wager
rocking
that.
knife, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, he required him to wager that, and he basically had a collection, a treasure trove of every person he's ever defeated, their most prized possession. It's insane. And there's so many characters we can go over.
Oh
There's
man, the biker dude, the perfectionist,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
he's hilarious. He's just this really big, intimidating dude who runs into Soma on like the way to this academy, and he's like, need a ride, and like Soma's expecting to, or no, he goes, do you want to go with me to the academy? And like he just parks his bike, and he's this big biker dude, and Soma's like am I about to get beat up? And then he goes through a short montage of him tarping and locking up and wrapping his bike up, and he's like, you got to make sure you check everything and have everything set like before, like, you know, make
Right.
sure.
Wait, isn't that the same guy?
Is that him?
I think that is the same guy.
I don't know if he's really. Is he about stealth?
Well, he's a big dude.
Wait, so does he have long hair?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
He has
The
short
guy-
black hair.
Oh.
No, the guy you're talking about has like medium length, like black hair, right?
Really?
I'm pretty sure I have a poster for him in my.
Get the poster. I swear
I'll go
it's
up
the
here.
same
I know.
guy,
I think
but-
I know what Brent's talking about. I'll go up and
Yeah.
take a picture quick.
It was
Yes.
1 second,
Go
guys.
do
the
that.
last episode
Cue
that I
elevator
just
music.
watched. Yeah. Yeah, he was
been
the.
so long.
While Aiden goes and gets us that picture, we'll see which of us.
Because I
is
swear that's the
right.
same guy, but maybe I'm confusing two people. But
I'm not sure. See, because I know he's early on in season 2, and that's actually about as. I think that was the last episode I watched. It's like episode 4 or 5 of season 2, and I watched them like get to the stadium where they're going to go, do their next challenge, which is it's such a good show. You guys, you really have to check this out. Satoshi Ishikai is the guy that I was thinking of earlier. The guy that cooks with nothing but his chef apron.
Satoshi.
He's so funny. I love that dude.
Right.
Let's see. We already talked about Megumi and Arina and Alice. There's so many good characters on this. Oh, you got that picture? You got it?
Jesus.
You came back?
You okay?
All right, I'm back. So that's the guy we're talking about. I think you're talking about the guy next to him, right?
Yeah, yep. So.
I think, yeah, that guy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe that is the same dude then.
Are you talking about the guy with the bandana?
No. Not the dude.
You're talking about the guy, other guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the same guy.
Oh, maybe it is the same guy. See, I guess I was just telling Phil while you were away on this mystical journey upstairs that was the last episode I got to, like right up to that part, and that's almost literally right where I paused when he's like offering to
Okay,
walk with him to
yeah.
the stadium, and that was it. But anyway, just with all these different food dishes, it's so great to know that all of these dishes are almost 100% just from the show. You can recreate all of these dishes. In that YouTube video that we mentioned earlier, that is actually one of the things we did as like a fun food challenge, is we recreated some of these dishes, or at least attempted to. You'll have to watch that video and see how that went. I thought that was really fun. But going on about all these different dishes, what is at least traditional Japanese food was one of my favorite topics that I started getting into about this. That washoku, or traditional Japanese food, it's actually composed of different elements. You know how they present these dishes and like MasterChef and all these things. It has to be balanced. It's about the aesthetics, the season that the ingredients are produced in. Like in Japan, that's a really big deal because they're such a small country that they really do have to take into account, like, it's winter, and in the wintertime these things grow, and in the summer or springtime these things grow. So their dishes are really seasonal, and they kind of rotate in and out. In the U.S., we don't really have a ton of that, just because we have so many different regions throughout the U.S. that produce different foods that we're constantly have like availability of whatever it is we're looking for. So we don't really get a ton of variety unless we go out and seek it for ourselves. The different dishes are also served in different seasons. Rice is almost always a staple in Japanese fine dining, but a lot of noodle-based dishes like soba and udon, which I love. Both of those are so good. Actually, most countries in Asia serve rice with 2 main dishes, also many side dishes that accompany them, like miso soup, Japanese soup primarily made from miso paste, or dashi, which is a broth, a variety of vegetables, seaweed, and tofu, or sukemono, preserved vegetables. The description of a typical meal is called ichiju sansai, which means 1 soup, 3 sides, which I thought that was pretty neat, that they actually have like a term to call this. Now, what is cool is that in Japan, they eat a lot of seafood is in their diet, a lot of fish, and I found that it was called the Kofun period of Japan, when Buddhism became like the official religion, the use of meat was very limited because of the Buddhist religion, and it led to a lot of minimal use of spices, but a heavy increase in the use of fish and various seafood as the main source of protein. It was the 9th century that a new way of preserving fish was invented by fermenting it in boiled rice, and that actually became like the earliest known form of sushi, called nare-zushi, which you can actually still find throughout Japan today in some areas. When Japan started opening up to the Western civilizations, though, meat began to be used more widely and led to dishes we know today, like tonkatsu, which is breaded, deep-fried pork cutlets, wagyu, which wagyu is actually, it's not like a term for a like style of beef. Wagyu is just specifically Japanese cow. Wa meaning Japanese, like very loose translation. Wa means Japanese, and gyu means cow. So anytime they talk about wagyu beef, it's just beef from a cow in Japan. They also use another style called yakiniku, which is a style of grilled meat that's just cut into thin slices that are meant to be more bite-sized. So you'll see that like on a lot of grills, and people will just like pick at the parts that they want with their chopsticks or utensil, just like right off that hot plate. Sushi. Everyone's probably had at least some form of sushi, I would imagine here. Like if you had something, I like a lot of the weird stuff. Like if it has a weird ingredient or an animal part that I'm like, oh, that sounds gross, I have to try it. I gotta know. And a lot of it's really good. They do actually have like some raw chicken sushi in Japan, which is interesting. Yeah, right. I kind of thought that was interesting. It's most people tend to think of it, when you mention Japanese food, it's sushi. Even though it seems like a compilation of basic ingredients, sushi is almost more of an art form than it is just a food. It's about the, again, like we talk about the balance, the seasoning, the presentation. And you might have seen this documentary, or I know I have, Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it though.
Oh man, it's honestly just like I thought this show was going to be. Like, what could this show possibly be about? I was like, a documentary about a guy making sushi. It's one of the most fascinating documentaries I've ever watched. It's Jiro Ono, who was born on October 27th, 1925. His current age is 96. He's still alive. Thank whatever God you like. Like, I need to go to this man's restaurant one day in Japan. He's literally seen as one of the greatest, if not the greatest sushi chef of all time. He's been credited with tons of innovations in the art of sushi used in modern sushi preparation. It's been said that if Jiro ever dies, that whatever the bar is currently for like what is seen as the greatest sushi, they have to lower the bar to what is seen as, the greatest sushi in the world. He has a really small restaurant. It only seats, I believe, I think it's only like 8 people at a time. There's no menus. You have to book it probably in months to years in advance to go here. And when you attend, there's no like drinks, there's no appetizers. You don't even get to pick what you get. He's just, this is the best fish that was on the market that day. This is what I've prepared for you. But the way he does it is he takes into account, whether you're either right-handed or left-handed. He knows this before you come in, and he has everything set before you, ready to go, so you're just there eating. He takes into account who is going to sit next to who, whether you're male or female, or want like bigger or smaller portions. He takes into account the order in which the sushi is served, because one dish might complement another one after the next, and it's just small portions of sushi that are expertly crafted. I mean, expertly. He knows. He does have like some apprentices, which was kind of cool. He doesn't allow his apprentices to even attempt to make egg sushi, the most basic form of sushi, until they've apprenticed with him for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
5 years of apprenticing. Otherwise, you're back there washing rice and doing dishes and doing the meal prep. In that documentary, one man was trying to make an egg sushi that was up to Jiro's at least minimal standards. One time he was like, yeah, this batch is pretty good. He said it was pretty decent. The man literally cried when Jiro told him that it was like adequate. Like he had been working so hard. He does have a son that I believe opened a shop in Seattle, which is roughly the same kind of style, but I think it's more, maybe a little bit more mainstream, where it's more accessible.
Right.
It's not quite, only like so many people to this one restaurant at a time. Man, so cool. I gotta go there.
It just sounds like an experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily, hey, we're going out to dinner. I'm going out to have an experience.
Right. I don't want to be this guy there, but like, if I would go, I'd have to tell him I don't want to eat seafood. So he has to make me like
Get out.
No, because you guys know I hate seafood. I get super sick when I eat seafood, but I would want to just have this guy just cook my food. Like, hey, just make me like a veggie roll, man.
Well, so that's the thing is he doesn't take orders. It would just be.
He's gonna be mad at me when I throw away his seafood. Like,
you just put it on a plate and be like, wow, that looks so good. You can give it to him though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll eat everything you don't eat.
Oh yeah, dude, so cool. I love that documentary so much. I've watched it multiple times. Man, it's so cool. There's some other real world chefs that I thought were kind of neat. that were based on, I don't want to say like the characters were based on from, but like Hiroyuki Sakai was born on April 2nd, 1942. He's a Japanese chef who specializes in French cuisine, which is a character on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and he's the longest serving Iron Chef on the Japanese television show Iron Chef. And man, I know I mentioned it earlier, but dear Lord, watch some Iron Chef. If you want to see real world food wars, it's so good.
Oh, I used to watch it like when I was younger, and I do remember just the intensity was just unreal.
Sakui-san. Dude, so good. And they would always have like they have like a main ingredient that they would present, and it's always so I don't want to say epic, but so dramatic is the word that I'm looking for, where they're like, today's food of the day is, and it'll just be like a massive pile of 1,000 onions. It'll be like, onion, and you have to use this at least this one ingredient in the dish, and then it's just people, some food critics, some that are not food critics. So it's okay. So it's like a chef that walks in and he's like, I'm going to challenge one of the 3 Iron Chefs, and there's like these different dudes that'll come down and try to hold on to their title as Iron Chef and do battle with this challenger.
Yep. Hey, when they do a spin-off of that on Futurama, you've made it big.
That was so good. Oh man. Or another one, Nobuyuki Matsuhisa. Sorry. Born on March 10th, 1949. It's a Japanese celebrity chef and restaurateur known for his fusion cuisine, blending traditional Japanese dishes with Peruvian ingredients. His signature dish is black cod and miso. He has restaurants bearing his name in several countries. He's also played some small parts in 3 major films. I couldn't find what those films were. Man, just some really interesting stuff that I love about like the Japanese food culture just in general. Aiden, did you have anything to add to any of this? I know you've been kind of quiet over there. You're stewing on some information. I can see it.
Maybe not to exactly Food Wars, but like we'll go with this. So what if you guys can specialize in any kind of food dish? If you can go to school and specialize in it, what food dish, like what style would you guys want to specialize in?
Ooh, man, that's tough. Like when I think about some of my favorite foods, pastas always come to mind because pasta is so versatile. You can throw it in essentially anything, and it just works so well. And I don't know. Like I'm also really bad at cooking meats. Meats are one of those things that like I've never been able to perfect, and I would love to be able to go to school and perfect like how to cook meat properly.
Not just because your favorite character cooks meat and she's...
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Now I'm wondering about that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my aesthetic has always been about, for some reason, Japanese culture. I would have to just go with Japanese food. There's something about like maybe in a past life I was from Japan. I'm just fascinated by anything and everything. Even as a little kid, that was for no reason. I wanted to go to Japan.
Oh yeah, no, that's been a goal, and I was going to go 2 years ago, but
life.
Some big life things happened around the world.
COVID.
I don't know if you heard about it, but
I don't have COVID. I was just coughing.
The world got shut down, and hopefully one of these days I will go, and maybe we can do an episode in Japan.
We'll do like we'll get a GoPro and we'll do adventures and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be rad. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Honestly, you really want to go to like a maid cafe. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, absolutely. We're in Japan. We're going to go.
Maid cafes, cat cafes,
hot springs.
I don't think we're allowed in hot springs because we have tattoos. So
I did actually look that up.
Oh,
so
that is legal. They did not.
Did they change that now?
I think they were planning on it, but it didn't stick.
Okay, because I was gonna say I did see that as well. Like you have to wear a shirt that covers all of your tattoos.
I mean, wrap me up in bandage cloth, man. I don't even care. I am going to Japan.
Those surfer suits, those jumpsuits.
I will wear the green stretchy onesie like Green Man suit. I don't care. I will walk around in that all day. I'm going.
Let me
in.
Look at these Pokeball and Dragon Ball tattoos.
We're not intimidated. We have anime tattoos.
Right now. Yeah, like all those weebs on his arm.
Right.
He's so Yakuza.
Well, even that on its own, some people might be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you."
Yeah, like, oh, you guys watch anime. Like,
Oh, these weebs.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
but-
just one of those things.
There's this green tea hot spring I saw on YouTube.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
showed me that.
yeah. And so that looks really cool. Like each little area has their own different type of tea.
Oh,
You can actually
cool.
drink it too, but I wouldn't recommend drinking it because people, bathe in it and whatnot.
But basically,
but-
yeah, it fills up, and then, you're
Yeah.
just soaking in.
So, yeah, just different types of tea for which area you're in.
That's kind of cool
Yeah.
though, because there has to be like some herbal effect.
No, it's
that-
supposed to. Yeah, it's supposed to like
Yeah.
detox you depending on which area you go through. The green tea or like there's like black tea and there's like other specialties. But I know
Right.
that place has a very strict tattoo because
Oh,
the guy tried to
yeah.
get in the video, he had a tattoo on his arm. And they made him like put a shirt on, otherwise he'd been kicked out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. I'm
Yeah,
alright
I'm
with
like
that.
I'll get wet in a t-shirt, but
I was
I'm
gonna say,
fine,
you guys
yeah.
got leg tattoos also, and I don't. So
That's
I'm
what I was
good on
thinking
that.
of. That surfer suit, those like swimsuits, wetsuits.
but-
Wetsuits are what they call
Yeah,
them.
but it's just not the same as like soaking in an actual like
No,
hot
it's fine.
spring.
I'm gonna drink from the faucet where it comes out, so it's fresh. I'm just gonna drink the tea.
Dude, that'd be so good. Yeah, if there is one, like, heck yeah, just hold up a bowl, be like, okay, like if it's
Yeah.
green tea, is it gonna make me sleepy? And am I just gonna
It
like?
might, 'cause it's gonna be hot and you're gonna be steaming. I don't know.
I mean,
It'd be a cool experience to just bathe in like tea, and it's also, if I remember right, it's like in like a mountain too. Like you legit have to.
That it was beautiful scenery, and that's just
Yeah.
one of the many things that we will be doing.
We have
when
to do
go
the egg
Japan.
thing. You guys know about the egg thing?
Egg thing.
With the mountain.
Define
So
the egg thing.
Oh yes,
there's
yep.
like a, what I'm talking about, where it gives you like youth or like another year. You're supposed to bring an egg up to like the mountain and like let it boil and eat it with the hot spring. It's supposed to help like add like a year or so to your life or something like that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting, like, I don't want to say mythical, but they have a lot of oh man, I can't even think of the word for it right now. Not stereotype. That's totally
Like
the wrong
mystical.
thing. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, they just
Yeah,
have like
you guys
a lot
know
of,
what we're
like,
talking about,
Yeah,
yeah.
but there's like a lot of like tradition stuff in their culture that is like this sacred belief that may or may not be true, but they still carry on this tradition.
Japan's so cool.
Yeah, really interesting, because there is, I mean, that country is, that whole region is steeped in so much more history and culture that we have, because like they've been there for thousands of years, and we have lived in the U.S. for what, hundreds?
Yeah, hundreds
Maybe.
of years.
And I mean, unfortunately, I know I'm, quote, an American, but I just don't really find our history that interesting. Like, it's either something I do not wish I was a part of personally for some of the things I feel like, our country has done, but like just the way their history is set up. I mean, they came from, castles. They had the entire, like, it was like a 100-year war. Oh man, there's so much cool, interesting history about how that country was united and is the country that it is today.
And the separation of, like, you have these amazing cities and these crazy nightlives and these like larger than life buildings, and then you have this beautiful countryside that has not seen any bit of technological advancement. And the fact that they can find a great like middle ground and a balance between these is so cool. Like, yeah, you can have a great week in the city and then take a train out to the country and just experience very basic, low key, but like just beautiful countrysides. And that's such a cool thing. Like, you really don't have that here.
No, and the fact that again, the country is so small, they take such good care of the things that they have there, that all of those traditional castles and buildings and structures and shrines, they all still exist within the major city. Like in Tokyo, you could be walking around, and then just like off to your right, there's for some reason like a really old shrine that's been there for hundreds, if not 1,000 years, that's still just maintained and used delicately. Like there's a lot of respect for their own history and culture. Just for everything they have. It's really cool. I really like their ideology, just anything and everything. I've always felt like I belong in Japan. It's just, maybe, like I said, maybe in a past life. Maybe that's where I was.
Maybe every anime fan was actually in their past life.
Right?
You should do, Brent. You should step in front of a moving truck, Dude, maybe maybe get isekai'd into like an alternate world.
I mean, do you think that's what happened? Do you think that's what...
Is that what happened? You just got isekai'd into like Iowa?
Yeah, right? Like I messed up and they're like, this is your punishment.
Right.
Like, no.
That one time I got reincarnated as a Midwestern.
Right.
Oh man, I
have
can't wait
ranch.
to see that anime.
Don't talk shit about ranch, boy.
I do have another question for you guys too. Just overall, just another anime question.
Yeah.
So, what was the anime that actually got you into anime? Like, we all have seen anime before, but what was that one anime that made you like go into it? Like, anime?
Man, do you even need to ask me that question? Of course, it's
Boku no Piku for Phil.
Get out of here! I will jump across this table. Dragon Ball Z, absolutely.
Why Dragon Ball Z?
Well, so as a young lad, maybe Pokemon, because like I remember watching Pokemon as a kid, but honestly, that's kind of a kid's
Is
anime.
that the one anime that actually got you like into like the anime?
No,
like,
no.
That was just more of like, I mean, at the time, like, yes, it is an anime, but I'd say from our young age, that was for me, it was a cartoon,
right?
And it was on like Nickelodeon.
Yeah, like I didn't know, but like honestly, at that age, I didn't know that was an anime.
Maybe was it Kids WB? I literally don't remember.
Yeah, it's like Kids WB. I think it was on.
Yeah. I still remember that first episode though. Literally, I remember the first time I ever feasted my eyes on it.
It's so good. It always hits me in that sweet spot. But when I was very young, my parents worked a lot, so we had to have a babysitter. And my mother's friend's son was about 16 years old, and he was the one who got lucky enough to watch us, and he was super into Dragon Ball Z, drawing and video games, so he brought over, I think, the first VHS tapes of Dragon Ball Z, and he would pop those on, and I was just
Right.
Like that was it. Like that's the beginning of my humble story. As soon as watching that, just the animation, the veracity, the action, just it was great. And then he would like draw all the characters that we asked him to draw. He would bring over his Dreamcast or his system.
Man. Right.
Man, it was poor. I said I got Gamecast.
And he would like bring like the old Dragon Ball Z fighting games too. And we would just play those for hours. And from there, I got into the trading card game. Mostly just because I like the pictures and collecting them, but now I'm still playing the card games.
Different card game, but Dragon Ball Super. Everybody should get into it, please. It's a dying card game. Please don't let it die. Please.
This is dying in the Midwest. We need people.
Please. I love this card game. I've been too invested into this card game to let it die. Please
Same.
Go buy it. Find it. Go to a store. Buy it. Buy everything they have.
Come to First Turn Games in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Do it.
That's where we play.
Every Tuesday and Saturday. But yeah, that anime just kind of was a gateway, and I feel like that we'll have an episode about Dragon Ball Z. Absolutely.
Maybe.
Don't even.
Oh yeah, I think we definitely will in the future. I think for a little while, just to set up some expectation, I think we're gonna stick to maybe some not necessarily lesser known but smaller shows.
Oh yeah, I don't expect us to touch this anytime soon.
We all know, like, if you even remotely have heard of anime, you've probably heard Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece. They're all like staple anime that everybody has probably heard of, at least in passing. And because of that, I'm sure it's been talked about a lot by either other podcasts or other documentaries and stuff. Not that I just don't want to necessarily regurgitate a ton of information, but that's absolutely something we'll get to for Akira Toriyama especially. He's one of the greats. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and Dragon Ball has influenced so many popular anime that wouldn't have been around, and their authors have said, if this anime wasn't around, I wouldn't have gotten the idea for this character in this anime. So we'll absolutely get to that. But Dragon Ball. What about you, Brent?
Ooh, so I specifically remember a time, the golden days of anime in the United States, with a little series called Toonami. If you ever watched Toonami, you know all the shows that were on there. Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star. The one that got me into anime, I watched it all night when it was like running a marathon one night. I remember laying in my bed. I had this really tiny 12-inch TV, one of those stupid tube TVs back in the day. Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho. Dude, yes, I love that show so much, and in fact, that's one of the memories that stuck with me for actually anime, not necessarily just Pokemon. I did watch some Dragon Ball Z, but again, to me as a kid, that I didn't really perceive that as anime, and I wasn't necessarily hardcore into it. Like, I just watched Pokemon because I had everything Pokemon. I had the games and the shirts and the cards and the toys. Like, it was a fad, but not quite anime. Yu Yu Hakusho set the bar for anime for me. What about you?
Honestly, so growing up, again, like you, Brent, I watched Toonami and whatnot and had Pokemon, but like you said, I didn't really consider Pokemon an anime as a kid. I was like, cool, this is awesome. I'm going to play Pokemon with my friends and watch. Then Dragon Ball Z too. Like, I like Dragon Ball Z a lot, but then like that didn't really get me into anime. Like, I like Dragon Ball Z a lot, but then the one that actually got me into it was later in like 2015.
Really?
Yeah, 2015. It was actually Phil's recommendation, Fairy Tail. So he took me to an anime convention. All right, I've never been to.
Do you mean I started you on this?
You're
trend?
the one that started me into anime. Like, otherwise, I would just like, honestly, the only other anime I've seen before, like, it was just like Dragon Ball Z, Rurouni Kenshin, and Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that in Toonami. That's the only animes I've seen before that. And then
recording in Aiden's living room, if you can see what I can see with my eyeballs, it's plastered with anime. And this didn't start until 2015. Wow, Phil.
It's all Phil's fault.
I created a monster.
Yeah, it was actually Fairy Tail. Phil recommended Fairy Tail to me because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And we went to an anime convention in Iowa, and he was just like, because I cosplayed as Bardock in that very first one. I think Phil was mentioning, because he went to as like Mystagon or something, right?
I remember that.
I remember that convention.
Yeah.
No, I didn't dress as Mystagon that convention. I do remember that one. And you dressed as Bardock. I dressed as Jack Skellington because I was known at the time as Jack Skellington.
Everywhere, everything he did would be a Jack Skellington thing, which is fine. I thought it was just funny though.
Right.
And then you just like, I think we were talking about Fairy Tail, understanding how good it was or something, and I was like,
and it
what
is.
the heck's Fairy Tail? So I was like, I checked it out, I was like, this is kind of cool. I like the little wow sound that it is. Oh, wow! Yeah.
I can't even.
I like how everyone
board of that.
Right. I thought it was just a really cool concept with magic too, because that was refreshing to anime. Like the only other animes I've seen before that was like Dragon Ball Z or like Rurouni Kenshin and whatnot. And I was like, cool. I was like, cool. Fairy Tail magic. Talking cat, awesome, you know.
Yeah, and it's like one of those. Like I kind of had this weird thing with anime for a while, where because I was so into the older like 90s, early 2000s anime, where that art style dramatically changed. It went a lot from hand drawn to computer generated, so the colors got a lot brighter, more crisp. Characters got, for some reason, bigger, shinier eyes.
Right.
Everybody aged down. They were no longer adults. Everybody has to be a kid. Everything is about a school or an academy. And I just, for a long time, like, there was that stigma for me that I was just like, this isn't anime to me.
Right.
Like, I mean, from Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop, how serious those shows were and how dark and gritty. And I love the characters like Gundam.
The Big O.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Gender.
Dude, I loved Big O. That was on Fox.
I got the box set there.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I do love Yu Yu Hakusho for one main reason, that Yusuke Urameshi's hands were rated E for everyone. And they even say that, where he punches a female character who used to be male, now female, and she was like, you know, how could you hit a girl? And he's like, what? You're a bad guy. I'm gonna hit you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there's no discrimination in
The Dark Tournament
Yusuke's.
Spirit
Oh my
God!
God, yeah.
Man, so good. That whole show is amazing.
That Dark Tournament arc is probably hands down one of my favorite arcs of all anime.
Oh, yeah. Every
Like,
anime has
man.
a tournament arc. And I don't know if maybe that stemmed from either like Yu Yu Hakusho or Dragon Ball, but every anime, like every big anime has a tournament arc.
It's a good way to showcase like other characters and their abilities. It's cool. I like it, and everyone always enjoys a tournament arc. I don't know anyone that hates a tournament arc.
Yeah, and it is its own like genre of shows too, where they just have fighter animes where there isn't necessarily a ton of plot other than big scary enemy that was worse than the last one, and now I got to use my powers to defeat this guy.
Right.
And that's a lot of what Yu Yu Hakusho was.
And they even did the tournament arc in Food Wars, so you know,
Yep.
like it's everywhere, not just fighting animes. But if you guys had to pick one food item from the show, because we're just gonna bring it on back to Food Wars before we wrap all this up, is there a dish that you would love to try? Like, you don't feel comfortable cooking it, but like you would absolutely pay to eat it.
Aiden?
Honestly, I would like the omelet souffle. That one, I think so.
Oh,
that looks good. Like, I
yeah.
like eggs. I'm a fan of eggs and cheese, and we'll see how that goes. I could never make a souffle. I failed. So in the YouTube video, I failed cooking with rice. So I imagine I would
Spoilers.
fail. Yeah, spoilers. I would imagine I'd fail cooking a souffle because I feel like that would be way more advanced than rice.
You know, I mean, I don't know. Looking at instructions for a lot of this, I feel like I could make most of these things, at least given like a couple practice runs. Like, I'm not necessarily good at cooking, but I'm really good. I'm a human, like, copy machine. You know, like anything somebody else does, as long as I see it done, I can do it. There's no way. Like, I could do it. But I think the one of the more interesting ones, I don't think it was Soma. I think it was the fight with Akira when they do the curry dishes.
Okay.
I really want to try Akira's. It was the egg. Was it? It wasn't a souffle. It was like an omelet. But when he cuts, or no, wait, maybe that was Soma's dish. Oh shoot, I don't remember. There's curry inside of the egg, and he like cuts it open, and just the aroma,
Right.
the depth of flavor just erupts, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's emanating throughout the stadium!" And now this stadium that they're cooking in is unimaginably huge. I couldn't even. There
Right.
had to have been like 4,000 or 5,000 people in attendance at this place.
Right.
It was huge. But yeah, I think any of the curry dishes that they made on that day, that was really cool.
Yeah, there are so many. I'm actually just looking at a list right now of all the dishes from like season 1, and there are over 27 dishes
Ooh,
from
yeah.
the first
Right.
season. And you know, I was actually gonna pick those egg dishes they did.
Oh, yeah?
This looks so good.
They
Like, here's the
do,
thing,
they do.
I don't normally go out of my way to eat breakfast food.
Right.
Like usually, if I'm out of town at a hotel, like I'll partake in some breakfast, or if if I'm up super early at a convention, I'll go get some breakfast somewhere. But that really made me want to try some. But anything with like meat would be great. And any of the dishes that meat made, please, please.
Oh yeah, they did that chicken wrap in their like downtown district.
Yeah, that
So
too.
That sounded really good.
Phil, what was her power? Doesn't she like temperature or something with meat?
She perfect. She can just look at a slice of meat and can tell if it's good or bad.
I thought she
and
could
just
like
knew
taste the temperature or something like that. Didn't she like I don't know.
There was a guy that maybe it was the spice guy that he could tell like if something was done cooking just by the smell because of the spices in it. But I think Meat was more of a character that she was just really good at cooking meat dishes.
I swear she was like a
because like her
with, like,
well like her family
Yeah.
owns like a butchery or something
Okay.
locally, so she was able to get like the highest quality meat available at much cheaper prices. So a lot of her dishes featured really fancy meat
Right.
cuts that most other people couldn't get.
I'm trying to look her up right now, but I'm having a hard time remembering what her actual name is because all I always remember her as Meat.
Yeah. Like I'm like 99% sure she can taste like the temperature of the meat or something like that. Like some it's like they all have like their own like cool abilities like that, but
It's Ikumi Mito.
Ikumi Mito. How do you spell that?
Ikumi Mito, Mito.
Okay, there we go. That's my girl. Oh man, and also the fandom wiki. You can find a lot of information on a bunch of different animes and their characters. I love the Food Wars wiki because not only do they go into detail about the characters, but they actually go into detail about the recipes
Right.
and the dishes they make. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, several great YouTube channels that we watched to do like some of our episode on our own food war, our own Shokugeki that is going to be on YouTube the day of release on this on 4/20/2022. You know what that means. But yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I feel like we've covered almost everything that we can cover about this show. I mean, it's a really simple idea. An ecchi slice of life anime that's just about great cooking. It's got great animation, some wonderful characters. It's very, very memorable. I do have a quote here from Sukuda that's saying, first of all, I really wanted to create a character that would be a good match for Saiki Sensei's art, the kind of character who could excite women with his culinary skills. I thought that a cool character who girls like, would not be all over them. He would be kind of a cool tough boy who does his own thing. He just wouldn't pay attention to the women around him. I wanted to depict him as someone who's serious about his art. He's focused on cooking instead of being easily distracted by girls. So his cavalier attitude was a result of wanting to make him the kind of character that girls would find appealing. And that is absolutely a theme throughout the show over and over again, where the cute girls are either like Meat is one of Soma's biggest fans throughout the entire show, and she's constantly either worried that he's got a girlfriend or a friend from his childhood, but yet Soma's asking her to help out with the creation of something, and she's looking into it like, oh, he wants me to come over? And then he's like, yeah, I want you to come over and help me make a dish. And she's like, oh. Like, she gets like really disappointed, but Soma's just like, he's like, what? Like, what would you think this was? And he introduces her to one of his childhood friends, and she's like, oh, are they dating? Is that the kind of girl he likes? And she's totally not like the girly girl that his friend is, and it's a really great relationship between those two. I think that's rad.
There's a lot of great like female characters in the show. Like it's just great representation all around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a very diverse show. There's a lot of foodgasms too in the show, as we were talking about earlier. What are you guys' favorite? What's your favorite foodgasm for you guys? Like the one that stood out for you?
Anything with the chairman is great, because that man is like super serious, scary looking, and then he eats some food, and then like the next minute he's just like ripping his yukata off, and he's like incredibly muscular, just like, yeah. he's great.
Oh man, it's really tough to kind of, I think, pick one. I mean, there's not necessarily a ton of them, but a couple that I think are really memorable. The really over the top one that I remember, again, episode 1, if you happen to watch this show, don't judge me, the peanut butter squid. Like, I totally understand the reference. I just thought that was hilarious that they even went that far, and I'm like, wow, like, I can't not see that image anytime he mentions
tentacles,
that.
that's all you need to know.
When you mentioned that the artist used to do the Forbidden Age anime before this, and then watching that again, I'm like, yep, I can see it.
Absolutely, you can see that.
What about you, Aiden?
One of my favorites is I forget her name, but she's one of the judges in the tournament. She actually like speaks. I believe it was she spoke, like, was it English or Japanese? I think she was like fluent in Japanese.
Oh, yep.
The food was so good she made her speak like English or something like that.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I think it's the reverse.
So she spoke English, but then it made her speak like fluent Japanese because it was so good. I thought that was just funny.
I want to try that food. Dang.
Right.
Dang. Yeah, that's such a good show. You guys got to watch this for real and stick with it. It gets so good. The first 2 seasons you can find on Netflix. The rest, I believe, you can find on Crunchyroll. I don't believe all of it has been dubbed. I think the last couple, like, there's 5 seasons. I think it's the last maybe season 4 and season 5 that haven't been dubbed yet. Maybe it's 3, 4, and 5. I don't remember. It's been quite a while since I got to it. Anyway, I feel like that's probably about going to wrap it up for us here at the Men of Zen. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. You can absolutely check out any of our social media sites on Facebook, The Men of Zen, YouTube, The Men of Zen, Instagram, Twitter, The Men of Zen. Every single one of those, you can find us on that same name. We got it all, baby, 100%. Phil, you got some shout-outs?
Ooh, like he said just a little bit ago, check out the YouTube video. I put a lot of work into it, a lot of hours editing, and probably my finest work so far today.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's just fun to do something crazy like this with 2 of my best friends. You know, like, in our age, we're men in our 30s at this point. It's hard to do fun stuff, and it's been really awesome to do this, especially with this first challenge video, and this is only the first of many to come.
Oh yeah. We are working on potentially getting Patreon merchandise, things like that. Right now, I do know we will be throwing up some vinyl stickers onto our Facebook, I believe, for merch. I haven't set up any merch stores yet, but I'll have those up in various sizes in permanent vinyl too, as Rex would say. I don't know, you guys watch Toy Story? I love Toy Story. one of the best. In permanent ink too. Yeah.
Yeah, we got those Men of Zen stickers,
Right.
and we'll even have if you guys want, we can get stickers of our anime avatars. So if you have a favorite among the three of us,
Ooh, we'll
definitely
probably just do a collab of all three. I mean,
Right.
unless you only want Phil's body on
I
your
mean,
card.
we could do all three. Why not?
Yeah.
We could do all three. You could do a collab. Why not?
Yeah,
we could do
well,
something crazy with
We're
it.
working on some things. We got some stuff cooking up. I might be able to
Pun
start
intended.
throwing up. Ooh, yeah, we got some stuff cooking. Can you smell what the Men of Zen are cooking? As the Rock would say. But yeah, we got potentially T-shirts in the works, vinyl stickers. And yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to get this stuff off the ground. Any of your personal handles you want to throw out there?
Ooh, just check out the Men of Zen YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. That way, we can get our videos out there and people can see how goofy we are.
Right, yeah. We just appreciate you guys listening to us too. Like we appreciate your time too. We put a lot of work into this, and it's just nice hanging out with our friends here doing this, and overall,
Right.
just thank you guys for listening.
And I'm always looking at the plays and stuff, and I know honestly, in some weird way, I'm sure someone's gonna be like, wow, that's some low number of plays. What we have, and I think this is a huge success. We've I believe as of this time we have 46 streams total across all
nice.
platforms. Which honestly, when you think about it, we've not necessarily wasted, but consumed collectively 2 days out of the earth from collective people. That's so rad. I think that's so cool.
When you put it like that,
Right.
dang.
We have literally filled up 2 days worth of time from this planet. And just thank you all so much for listening. Thank you so much for interacting. Check out our social media sites. Check out things that we've got. I want to give a huge shout out to Calvin _Rosario_art for the creation of those avatars we were talking about, and Schminkadelic for the creation and use of our opening and ending theme song. Aiden, you got anything else? Any of your handles you want to throw out? I know we were last time.
I mean, probably just, if you guys want to check out my TikTok again, it's just also demon_Neko91. I just post random anime stuff on there.
Heck yeah.
It's
yeah.
pretty funny, actually.
It's pretty rad. I love his TikToks. They're pretty good. Anyway, thank you so much again for tuning in to the Men of Zen, and have a good one and stay Zen.